Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Hand of Fate 2. So, I thought in the first section that we would have finished that and it would have given me a full refill on health. But the story is continuing and then we have I wonder if I really should just go back to the sword. Yeah, the story is just continuing with the same amount of health, the same amount of food, and we're supposedly getting gold for Vingus of the Thieves Guild because Malachus owes him money, and we've
Smaller
become
pieces of our
friends.
fates shattered into fragments. Collect enough, and your reward will come in time.
You entered a competition of strength at a fair. The gold prize is available to the winner. We can see that there is some kind of item on arm wrestling. You could gain 10 gold, it seems, too. I guess if you walk around enough, since you eat one apple every time you move, you will regain health. So starting another section with your health slightly below 100 is not terrible, but starting at 50 or around 50 is pretty bad. In the first round of the competition, your opponent is a diminutive Roland, a halfling from a traveling troupe of acrobats. So we are now just doing dice
These
rolls.
dice are another small game embedded in our game.
I don't feel like there really were dice rolls in Hand of Fate 1, but there already were pick a card for success or failure, so a game of chance by picking a card or a game of chance by dice rolls aren't really that different. It definitely feels like they are trying to evoke more Dungeons and Dragons style gameplay around this. So I don't think we die if we land on the skulls. I imagine that is just a 1. And we're trying to target 10, which means we need to get a little lucky, but not that lucky. Like, you would need to get slightly better than equal odds, where equal odds would be 3
The table
threes.
has changed, yet the stakes remain the same. Life or death.
They definitely are trying to make the game more expansive in what you can do and have more variety. Right. So apparently, you're supposed to just use the left stick to roll them, and then press A to throw them. There.
Victory. You are learning.
Yeah. All you had to do really was get 1 pip extra than average, where an average would be 9. I imagine we'll eventually get challenges that are even higher, where you are going to need something like 15, maybe even 18 out of 3 dice rolls. But also, there were a couple of chances there. Roland is no match for your strength. He gives a disappointed backflip off the table and collects his meager winnings, then cartwheels out the door. We haven't had an opportunity yet to actually spend any gold. You take your reward from the purser on the way out of a tavern. When you return, you will compete in the next round for a larger prize. And so maybe we'll return pretty quickly, or maybe we will return like many steps from
Water
this
is
point.
a symbol for the many thoughts that churn beneath the surface. What is it you're thinking of? What concern is worrying at your mind? Let it fall into the waters beneath.
I wonder if this isn't the case where I can actually just walk back to that card, since it's still on the table, and try again. So we're confronted with 4 steel. You could stand and fight the fiends or throw yourself at the mercy of the river below. Dice target would be 11 at that point, which with 3 tries might be worth it. So let's leap into the river. Dive over the side of the bridge just in time, plunging into the cold water. And see if I could buy another dice, then that might help. Yeah, if I had 4 dice, that would change a lot. There we go, we won, and I think we had 1 roll remaining on top of that. Maybe we didn't. Through a combination of luck and skill, you managed to avoid the worst of the river's hazards. You emerge on the banks further downstream. So, going back to that spot doesn't trigger anything.
The roads have become even
Nor
more
does it
deadly
eat
since
food.
the Empire has come to power, despite their promises of the opposite.
And see, I think the weird thing about this game is that fighting people, if it's not promising a reward at the beginning of it, fighting people may not reward you at all, and it definitely might lower your health. Let's see, this is Distressed Damsel. The road ahead is blocked by an overturned carriage and a woman calling for help. Please help. I've been robbed by a band of thugs. Is there anything you can do? So, should we assist the distressed woman? Dice target 12. I think we should, just to play as the nice guy. Also because I suspect we might get rewarded here with some more food, which would be helpful. They throw the dice fairly far. If I just reroll this one dice, that does just kind of feel like that is something that's unnecessary for the dice to roll so far down the table and then have to collect them. Thank you, the woman says as you help her from the carriage. Please accept this as a token of my gratitude. There we got 3 food and then another 3 food. You thank the woman and continue on your way. At a certain level, this may also come down to the idea of avoiding every single interaction. Not every interaction is worth it. And I think what I would guess is that if we look at the arm wrestling, it looks to me like there is 4 pieces of a coin there. So I wonder if it isn't the case that we're going to, over the course of one entire playthrough, run into arm wrestling, and every time we run into it, it's going to get another piece of that coin. And so there's like 4 variations, 4 levels of arm wrestling that we'll run into, and the cards will evolve. I assume with a new game, then the cards would reset, though. I would definitely assume this game is closer to a roguelike in the sense that if you were to totally start a new game, everything would reset, and it wouldn't be easier on a second game if you gamed over and had to start over from the beginning. You wouldn't evolve cards or evolve your character and have stronger stats or weapons.
Celebrations in aid of what? You see how quickly the actions of the usurper are turned into tales for children.
Let's see. Nearing the sleepy hamlet of Dulwich, You find villagers in the midst of some kind of celebration. Much of the activity concerns a large paper and wood statue depicting a fearsome warrior looking triumphantly over a prone lizard man. It's funny that the narrator called him a usurper. Should we follow the parade, or should we ask the locals about what's going on? I think knowledge is power here. Let's ask the locals what's going on. A friendly stable hand explains, in a bygone age, a town was beset by half men, half lizards. There's no food, no respite, and very little hope. I feel like this is a direct story of what would have happened in the first game. Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if the dealer we're seeing here actually is the hero of the first game, or and has just forgotten that or been possessed by the narrator of the first game. Salvation came in the form of a nameless warrior who hunted the beast for little more than a handful of coins and a crust of bread. He smiles warmly at the festivities. We honor the warrior like this. The statue is filled with food and gold, and we take turns smashing it to bits with a club, so it's like a piñata. You're welcome to join us, and you may keep whatever falls out. Sure, let's follow the parade. Parade ends at the town square. You watch as the villagers take turns smashing the statue with a club and gathering food and gold that spills out. A local notices your interest and asks if you would like a turn. Let's see. Should we watch the local go first or join in? Let's see. If food and gold are already spilling out, let's join in. Huge success is now a possibility, and failure is also still a possibility. But you have, I think, no influence here as to what this happens. The club strikes the chest of a treat-laden beast. Some gold falls out. You survey the spoils and try to scoop them up before anyone else can. So now you have like a 50-50 chance, so maybe I should have observed the other person. 20 gold feels like a lot of gold. Scramble to gather the bounty you unleashed. Would you like to try to gather more? No, I think we did pretty good there. You leave the town celebrations with whatever you've gathered. I don't want to get too greedy. And I imagine there is just some chance of failure there in which that something bad would happen. I doubt we would have gotten a weapon or anything else. Maybe if I'd landed on huge success, we would be talking about getting maybe 80 gold instead.
Here we come to the end of the beginning, running errands for mages. This will become a theme, I dare say.
So the character that sent us to gather the gold, I forgot that's what we were supposed to be doing, probably is a mage. Now notice in the right there, the coin is now floating, so I think the coin is up for grabs now. You arrive at Mire Bridge as the sun begins to dip below the horizon. You find Malclips. He's probably a mage. Pursuing a selection of cheeses by the market. Ah, if it isn't my good friend the adventurer. Did you bring the gold? Vingus has arranged to meet at the graveyard. Yeah, I don't feel like there's anywhere I could go back to get anything. So let's just go to the graveyard. I think I've done it. Like, if we were to look at the map, which I don't think we really can at this moment, it would be nice if you could always bring up the map. You would have only had possibilities of getting gold from the carnival, the arm wrestling, and maybe fighting the people on the bridge. And that was the only fight encounter in this run. And it definitely was the right move to avoid the fight encounter because my health still isn't really up to where I'd like it to be. Let's just go to the graveyard and hope 40 gold is enough. It should be. You wonder whether the spot was chosen for its seclusion and for easy body disposal. Vengus greets Malaclips with a sly grin. Looks like he turned up after all, and with a lackey in tow. We had our doubts, you know. So, now we see the card is the Ace of Greed and Anarchist, I guess. So, he'd be one, I think, very strong character, and from the looks of the card, he probably throws Molotov cocktails at you. Vengus cracks his knuckles and giggles. Now, well now, Malaclips, convince me. What's to stop me cutting off your head today? You reveal to your gold to Malaclips as you reveal your gold as Malaclips scrounges in his pockets for some too. The heavy satchel of riches lands at Vengus's feet with a thud that echoes through the silence of the cemetery. You lose 40 gold. So there goes all my gold. It's possibly that it doesn't matter how much gold you would have had. He either is going to say that's not enough, or he's going to take everything and say it always was enough. That's our deal done, Malaclips says, worry obvious in his voice. No need for further troubles. I'm sorry, Mal, Vengus grins. You should have known the guild was never going to let you pay with cash stolen from our members in the first place. So now, apparently, there's a 4 of Greed characters, so there's going to be like 5 characters fighting. That we're going to fight 1 boss and 4. And that feels like that was always going to happen. We have yet another background area. And we have a unique bad guy character here. What kind of sucks though here, and you definitely would like to see this more polished, particularly now in the era of the idea of the Steam Deck being a new way to play PC games. You definitely would want to see a game like this play very smoothly without any loading, and so that little transition to get to this completely different style of gameplay, I'd like to see that go away and it be very instantaneous, even though that transition isn't even that long. So yeah, the fact that we could customize our main character probably is just a reflection on the fact that they are customizing some bad guys like Vengus the Crazed here. Treacherous and greedy, a dangerous combination. Anarchists throw flaming bombs that cause fire damage. Your armor is no use to you here. Alright. So, move, I imagine, is to take him out if we can early. Right. Can we do anything else? I need health. Let's see. Artifact companion abilities. Let's see if we can do. Unless we can just stick and roll, I'm going to probably lose here. So death, blood stains the ground beneath your corpse.
Combat solves so little. It has ended this, however.
So, is this now going to cost us a coin to try again. I guess that's the case, or I guess weirdly we're opening the coin and that's going to give us something. That just seems weird. Shadow Beasts have entered the realm. This is probably DLC. And we're getting 2 cards. So now we have a new card that we might encounter in the story, a fiend in need, and the peasant's son. So these coins are effectively treasure chests, and they probably should be depicted as little treasure chests instead of coins. Or perhaps envelopes. It would make more sense if they were envelopes with cards in them, like card packs. For finding the forest folk, we unlock the old maiden. So these are direct cards to what we've already done up until this point in the game. And that...
Welcome to my challenges. Together, we will traverse 22 paths of wisdom and despair in the hope of awakening.
Interesting. So now the game has drastically changed, and I assume this is just DLC. Outlands and Outsiders. Be wary, adventurer. The wastes are a terrible, unforgiving place. Find the map maker challenge in the Adventures tab. Find Hubie the Orphan in the Burrow encounter. Okay. This is probably DLC too. And I don't feel like the first game had any DLC, but this all feels very oddly disconnected from what we were just doing. You would have thought I would have lost and it would have just had me continue, or maybe it would have had me start the entire encounter a second time. Clearly mistakes were made, but weirdly, and this was a problem with the first game too, is that you could be really good at the strategy of the card games and the dice roll and just really terrible at the action hack and slashing, or you could be really good at the action hacking slashing and be terrible at the strategy parts, and that just increases the odds that you're not going to succeed. So a cold hearth. Iron Peak has become a crucible of death and fear. Are you fool enough to save it? Seek out the cruel Cthulhu in the champion deck to enlist her aid.
Are you confused? Complete these challenges and we will be ready to face the usurper.
Interesting. Yeah, I am a little confused as to what I'm supposed to be doing. The Servant and the Beast. Now I know there's 3 DLCs, so if it says I've unlocked something else, that would be surprising. Step forward, adventurer, into a story of intrigue, blood, and shadows. Find the Servant challenge in the Adventures tab. Okay. So. We can't get out of this area. I can't hit B. So. There's this whole Enlist thing. So we did the campaign, and we need to complete more challenges to unlock the Magician. We would need to complete 3 challenges to unlock the Map Maker. We'd need to complete 5 challenges. So you just have this whole map. So I think we are still playing as the Fool, and this is just now your added level selector. Although it's very confusing as far as what you're supposed to do. Every journey begins with stepping into the unknown. So, yeah. I think we have to just do it again. And that is a really long process to start over after dying. And it definitely seems to me like things have changed in this, because we seem to have different cards, or maybe even upgraded cards, and it seems like the coins you're collecting in the far back are keys, effectively, to move the story forward and play other challenges. So if you struggle and cannot win with this section, this first one, you're never going to get anywhere in the game or unlock anything else, so you might as well just rage quit. So what I'm going to do is try some different options, and we'll try and rush through this since we've already seen this. Remain hidden in the undergrowth. Eventually you notice movement further down the road. Let's see. Spot the farmers. Yell off the farmers. Do we want food? Or do we want to be the bad guy and help the thieves with their extortion? I think it might be interesting to see what happens if we help the thieves with the extortion, so let's go with that. You take place besides the thieves glowing. The farmers quickly size you up and decide that discretion is a better part of valor and flee. As you reach for a share of the spoils, you realize you're surrounded. You can't just turn up and take what's rightfully ours, barks one of the thugs. Yeah, you didn't even help chop down the tree. You draw your weapon with practice skill. Well, you hear the lead's voice. You lads handle this. I'll meet you when you're done. So, yeah. Even playing as the bad guy only hurts you now because you're not going to have any characters with you. Now, my weapons are back to what they were, but my custom character is still the same. I'm not a huge fan. You can see that felt a little laggy there in that death animation. I'm not a huge fan of the jump around, back flipping, forward flipping as you're fighting style of fighting. So we killed all the thieves, but it feels like we got less food that time and probably potentially took more damage than we needed to. So almost certainly it would have been a case where it would have been smart to, I'm pretty sure we've now equipped the new sword. Yep. You could have demanded gold, but I don't know if we're going to find any gold. And that section there, that card, didn't do anything for us because we had already accomplished finding the old maiden. So in the second playthrough, let's go with this one this time. He grins. Here's the thought. Does it have to be my blood specifically? Kill my associates and I'll gladly return your amulet. Ever reliable, the thieves draw their blade to mug you. So really, in a lot of cases, these encounters, the sentences are only slightly different. One or two sentences are different and the rest of it's the same. Giving them all your food and gold. Perform a reposit by attacking immediately after defending an enemy attack. As a tip. But yeah. Feels a little laggy in this loading section. This loading section's a little too slow. Particularly since this is still a loading section. Here you're having an extra loading section showing off the new weapon. Okay. one, like, maybe I'm hitting the wrong buttons. Let me just double check here. Defend is Y. Oh. Yeah, I am hitting the wrong button here. I'm trying to shield bash them. Yes. That explains why this hasn't been working that well. I've been just hitting the wrong buttons. So yeah, this game is weirdly more centric around hitting the X and Y instead of the A and B. I kind of want to see those controls swapped. Let's see, I don't think anything changes in this section, and you can see this is the exact same scenario as before, and I'm even in worse position now because I'm at like 49 health. And it seems like it's gonna let me customize my character, but I almost wonder if you're gonna end up being asked to customize your character like multiple times with multiple different characters. Yeah, seems I probably just want to stick with what I've got, and it's not like you've added any new customization abilities. But yeah, if this is the Fool, and then there's a quest called the Magician, you might be playing as a different character who's a magician. So what will be interesting here is when we get to the arm wrestling.
Let us learn what sort you are. Strong? Clever? Wise? The circumstances under which you come here put the lie to that.
A lot of what the narrator is saying here is kind of just random. In the second round of the competition, you see opposite the aged frame of Huntley Toothless. He boasts about once being the silencer of the Thieves Guild. So this is our second encounter, and it has evolved. And I imagine we are now looking for a much higher skill. Like this with 3 dice is going to be difficult. We'll keep the 5. And
the dice are fair, and thus you have lost this round.
Yeah, having to get 12 is a high order. The Haggard ex-hitman appears to know some type of hand grip that numbs your muscles. You are defeated. After being knocked out for a second round, you receive only a small prize. Well, that stinks. You take the lesser reward for losing in the competition of strength. When you return, a new contest will begin. So to evolve this, we've got to get higher luck, more weighted dice in our favor, more cheating dice. I guess what I want to do is probably do this.
At what point does honor bend to pragmatism?
Let's try and help the lady. Again, seems like the rolls are higher now as far as requirements. Now weirdly though, what I'd like to do is eat food. And that time it gave me life instead of food, which is actually better. So now I'm in a much better position. Now if we walk here, and then walk here.
A vampire cannot cross running water. These days you must deal with far more mundane opposition.
let's see what fighting these guys will do for us this time instead of running, since we're in a better position. Although it may just drain our health when we know there's a boss fight coming. We're starting to see some more variety in at least the skin tones of these guards, but they still are animated pretty much the same. They aren't exactly in the same cycle now, but yeah, they're same outfits. And I guess that would make sense if they're guards. Guards are the first line of defense against any who would question the Empire. The Empire enemies wear armor that reduce damage by 3, rendering light weapons less effective. Alright. We have this like finisher move, but I have to kind of like see the weapon glow to do this finisher move. And I don't know if standing in water actually slows you down or if just visually it is an effect. Still feels very hack and slashing though. And I feel like a game like this probably should play up to that idea, that you should be able to hack and slash. Having spilled your enemy's blood, you search the bodies for anything useful. We gain
a simple defense.
Shield.
You can do better given time.
Alright. So we got some gold, and we got some shield. Okay. So we go here in Carnival. Let's see what happens if we follow the parade. Parade ends in the town square. You watch the villagers take turns at the statue, clubbing and getting food and gold that spills out. The local notice your interest. Let's see what happens if we watch the local go first. You allow a young girl to go ahead of you in queue, an act of courtesy that grants you the opportunity to see how it works. The crowd cheers enthusiastically as the child smacks the lizard man's ankle with a club and gathers a few coins and wraps sweetbread that falls out. It's soon your turn. You accept of the blindfold to take the club into your hands. And so we have the same chance of huge success and failure. That time we got huge success. You bring the club down with a thunderous crack that silences the crowd as the statue splits open. They erupt into a boisterous row. Coins and sweets flow freely from the huge cavity you created. You survey this well and try to scoop them up before anyone else can. So again, probably could use food more than gold. You scramble to gather the bounty that you unleash. Would you like to try to gather more? Survey the spoils. So now you have a failure.
Wager for more than mere success and failure. You choose the very stakes themselves.
Before you can gather anything, a young child shovels the bounty in the basket and scampers off. With your turn over, you leave. Well, that's not too bad of a failure. Now, noticeably here, the sun just got really bright in the background of this area, and I kind of wish that this whole screen was brighter. It doesn't really need to be that dim. I guess they're probably hiding how low res a lot of this is. This definitely feels like a game that was probably targeting something like the Nintendo Switch more than something that was targeting like what would have been an Xbox One or a PlayStation 4 or a PC. Right, so we go forward and let's see if we can win this time. The cards that we unlocked with the coins, though, haven't really played any role at all. Let's see. Let's keep exploring. So keep exploring doesn't do anything if there aren't any cards to interact with. So off to the graveyard we go. It would be nice if there was just a way to eat food, but there really isn't. So there goes our 20 gold. And nothing changes as far as that final battle, and I just don't think anything would change on the final battle. My only hope here is that maybe I can play a little bit more cautiously. Although weirdly I need to be both on the A button to roll around and the Y button to dodge, to block, and the X button to attack. So I need to move my thumb in quite a few places. The other guys don't seem to really be affected by bombs. And really can't afford to take hits. So now it's like 16 health. And we've got nothing. But stick and move, I guess, is your best bet. We were very close in that case.
Now death comes to you. This story ends here.
So, second failure. Here, would you like to enable apprentice mode? This makes combat easier by increasing the damage and automating reposts and finishers, but leaving everything else identical. Steam leaderboards will be disabled. You can toggle this mode in the settings menu at any time. Leaderboards will be disabled. Nothing mentioned about achievements, if this game even has achievements. And I think I would say yes, because either it would be turn on easy mode, or potentially rage quit at this point. There's just like nothing else you can do. Yeah. And unfortunately, this does leave me in this weird position where, particularly if you bought DLC, you can't actually play any of the DLC yet. So, yeah. Let's look at the settings here before we end this episode. Apprentice mode is now on. Subtitles are on. Attack indicator colors, precision combat, gambit colors. All those seem to be fine. No real reason to turn blood off. The game would still be fairly violent. Let's see. Snared struggle UI. Blind input for the controller versus keyboard. Oh, bind input, not blind input. It does feel like you might be able to. It might be wise to like move bash to Y and then attack to even A. But I'll try and play the game with the controllers as they are set at the moment. But my first instinct would be to have A, B, the letter A button on an Xbox controller equal attack, and B equal defend, and then X would potentially be well, X would probably be evade, and then Y would probably be bash. Is there anything else that we could potentially change here? I wouldn't be surprised if this VSync adaptive might be wrong. See if we can just turn it off completely and see if the game feels a little bit smoother in those loading sections. And definitely you can see how all the visual elements here really only play a part in some small sections of the gameplay, mostly the hack and slash element of the game. Yep. So you are definitely still running into the same problem, particularly at this point, of if you're bad at the fighting, you're just not going to be able to do anything. If you're bad at the strategy and card game, you're not going to be able to do anything. You have to be fairly good at both to have enough health, and just fairly lucky in general to have enough health to take on the boss fights. And almost certainly, I would assume, every single scenario is going to end that way, where you are just building up to save as much health, upgrade your equipment as much as possible before you get into that final boss fight. Anyways, that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, and keep on watching. Thanks.